Understand? Literally last 39 years from the age of 5, whatever Paramashiva manifested through teaching, speaking, writing, every way, condensing the whole thing and presenting it to you all as experientially in these 21 days through this Jnana Charya, Jnana Kriya Yoga, Jnana Mahaparamashivam lifestyle for just Paramashiva. Rituals to be just Paramashiva. Yoga for just being Paramashiva. Jnana just Paramashiva. This Mahaparamashivoham is like literally the ultimate journey in a most safest way. From the age of 5, whatever Paramashiva manifested through teaching, speaking, writing, every way, condensing the whole thing and presenting it Paramashivam Om Nithyananda Paramashivam Om Nithyananda Paramashivam Paramashivam Nithyananda Paramashivam Om Nithyananda Paramashivam
Nithyanandam Paramasukadam Kevalam Dvandvatitam Gaganasudasham Tattvamasyadiraksham Ekam Nityam Vimalamachalam सर्वदी साक्षिभूतम् भावातीतं त्रिगुणरहितं सद्गुरुं तं नमामि. Nithyanandam. We welcome all the viewers and participants all around the world in more than 175 countries to this amazing Bhava Samadhi Darshan of Kala Bhairava, manifesting through the Nijavatara, the supreme pontiff of Hinduism, Bhagavan Nithyananda Paramashivam. And before we do the Bhava Samadhi Darshan, we are going to be having a very interesting segment on the various contributions of Kailasa in reviving the festivities and celebrations of life. It is not just a religion, it is the lifestyle itself. The lifestyle that constitutes various aspects and celebrations, the knowledge streams through Shastras, Vedas and Agamas, and all the pilgrimage centers. Each and every branch or each and every Shastra gave birth to thousands of religion, because every single Shastra, every single manuscript is a religion by its own. And all of these religions, traditions, culture that comprises under the huge umbrella of Sanatana Hindu Dharma congregates in one point. And that point is Kumbh Mela. Kumbh Mela is the world's largest spiritual celebration in the world, where literally thousands and thousands of sampradayas, traditions and cultures all congregate at one point. And in this point, it's huge celebration where you can literally see how each of these traditions and yet all of them come together to celebrate. All of them can coexist, all of them can appreciate each other, and all of them can still be unique and still be celebrated under Sanatana Hindu Dharma. That is the uniqueness of Sanatana Hindu Dharma, and every level, every single dimension of life, the whole thing is all about reiterating the core purpose of life, which is living enlightenment. So the Kumbh Mela is a grand celebration, grand congregation of all these different sampradayas together, where all of these sampradayas come together. Literally imagine 30 million people gathered for a Kumbh Mela event. 30 million people is something like 2.5 times the population of New York City. Yes, 2.5 times the New York City just congregate at one place. All of these people are unique in their own perspectives. They all come together and celebrate this grand, very huge spiritual breakthrough that they can ever experience in an event called Shahi Snan. And today's segment, we're going to see how the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, Nithyananda Paramashivam, has revived this Kumbh Mela, has in fact taken this Kumbh Mela to the whole globe. So just before we get into the segment, just would like to share a small Puranic reference of how this Kumbh Mela started. So when there was a conflict between the Devas and Asuras on who is going to take the Amrita Kalasha, during that fight, the Amrita Kalasha fell down in 4 places. And all these 4 places is where the Kumbh Mela happens. And traditionally, this is one of the oldest festivals in the history of the planet Earth. It has a recorded history of about 12,000 years. 12,000 years unbroken record of Kumbh Mela being celebrated in this world. And more than this, Swamiji has taken this Kumbh Mela to the whole globe. Swamiji is authorized, the only authorized person to celebrate this Kumbh Mela outside of India, outside of all these 4 pilgrim places. And more than a decade, the Kumbh Mela is being celebrated by Kailasa and Kailasa Canada, and once it has also happened in Kailasa Melbourne. So today's segment is all about, we're going to see a lot more exciting things, a lot more celebrative sharings from various people who have been part of this historic Kumbh Melas conducted by Kailasa. So before we get into the sharing, we're just going to play, so just for all of us to understand what it feels to be in Kumbh Mela.
नित्यानन्द गुरु चरण वन्दनं वन्दनं गुरु वन्दनं गुरु चरण वन्दनं नित्यानन्द वन्दनं जन्मसार्थककरं गुरुदर्शनं वन्दनं गुरुवन्दनं गुरुचरणवन्दनं नित्यानन्द गुरुचरणवन्दनं पद सद सद ग पद पद परि ग प ग प ग सरि ग रि ग प ग पद पद सरि ग रि रि सद सा पद सद सद ग पद पद परि ग प ग प ग संकट कवच मधुरानुभव गुरुस्मरणं नित्यानन्दरूपम् 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 नित्यानन्दरूपं 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 वन्दनं गुरुवन्दनं गुरुचरणवन्दनं वन्दनं गुरुवन्दनं गुरुचरणवन्दनं नित्यानन्द गुरुचरणवन्दनं वन्दनं गुरुवन्दनं गुरुचरणवन्दनं नित्यानन्द गुरुचरणवन्दनं जन्मसार्थककरं गुरुदर्शनं वन्दनं गुरुवन्दनं गुरुचरणवन्दनं नित्यानन्द गुरुचरणवन्दनं पद सद सद ग पद पद परि ग प ग प ग सरि ग रि ग प ग पद पद सरि ग रि रि सद सा पद सद सद ग पद पद परि ग प ग प ग संकट कवच मधुरं गुरुस्मरणं नित्यानन्दरूपं 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 गुरुचरणवन्दनं नित्यानन्द गुरुचरणवन्दनं वन्दनं गुरुवन्दनं गुरुचरणवन्दनं नित्यानन्द गुरुचरणवन्दनं
I welcome you all with my love and respect. Let you all open all your three eyes. Om Nithyananda Paramashivam. Om Nithyananda Paramashivam. Om Nithyananda Paramashivam.
Yes, and that was just a glimpse of what we all experienced as Kumbh Mela. And in this segment, we are having Manatya Atmadayananda, who was the House of Representatives of Kailasa for the whole of Europe. And I think more than a few hundreds of participants had come from different parts of Europe. I think more than 25 countries, they all joined from different parts of Europe and different culture. They've never heard about Kumbh Mela before, but how the entire group was in such ecstasy being part of this Shahi Snan. So it's my pleasure and honor to welcome Ma Atmadaya for this segment, who's going to share with us very, very interesting things about coordinating this effort with people who are completely from different backgrounds, different parts of the country, different parts of the world, and yet ensuring that all of them are together and how do they all enjoy.
Yes, thank you, and my Nithyanandam pranams to everyone. So thank you, Ma Pranapriya, for having me here. Actually, the video we just watched of the whole procession, this is one of the most colorful part of the whole thing, because of course the beauty is the whole thing revolves around these Shahi Snans, and that particular year there were three special occasions, and one comes to mind very, very clearly because it's like whenever there is any celebration we have in Hinduism, there is a whole drive up to it. So it's not just the day, but it's all the preparation that went on beforehand. And I would say I would go back to the day before. Snan was happening very early in the morning. There was like a specific window in which we were to do the Shahi Snan. So the main thing about Kumbh Mela, for me, what stands out is the actual procession to the river to have the actual dip, which is like, there's like, it's not a huge amount of time to have that dip, but it's like the whole work towards it itself becomes a memorable experience. So back to, first of all, I had myself not been to Kumbh Mela. Although I'm born in a Hindu family, I heard about Kumbh Mela, but I only heard like some here and there negative things in terms of, oh, that's where kids get lost and that kind of stuff, right? So for me, I never had this particular pull to go to Kumbh Mela. Because Swamiji is there and the invite was there, it was like, it's a no-brainer, I'm going. And only because of Swamiji, I even got to be there in the first place. And I'm sure that was the case for all the 5,000 people that were there, all the 5,000 participants. But if I go back to sharing about the actual procession itself, so the day before, we had this huge space, the hall that was built for us temporarily. And in that huge hall, which fit easily 5,000 people, we had the day before itself, we had this, I guess, a practice run of the whole thing, where we had the flags, we had the umbrellas, and we knew what segments we were going to be, doing the actual dry run in. So people from all sorts of backgrounds, people who had never possibly even done any practice of Hinduism, they were there. people who have just heard about Swamiji, who decided to come on the invite very spontaneously. All kinds of cultures, languages, experiences, spiritual backgrounds were there. And we had this one practice run, and then the next day we were up very, very early, hardly slept, very early, ready to cheer. And we knew, for me, I can talk about myself, I knew we were heading, but it wasn't difficult because everybody had flags. As you saw in the video, we had flags, and we started before daybreak. So what you see in the video is daylight, but any case, there was this vibrant atmosphere that was really electric, decorated, colorful umbrellas, deities, Swamiji's chariot, literally thousands of devotees, all cultures, all backgrounds, and we are all cheering, chanting, devotional music blaring. We are having dancing happening. So it was a stop and then continue. So we stopped for a few minutes, enjoyed, walked a bit more, and then danced a bit more. And then there were people who were actually we took over I'm sure we took over the roads. We took over the road. There were people on the side. Their eyes were open. They were enjoying the atmosphere. I remember even the next day we were in the newspaper because it was the most vibrant celebration of the year. It was all in all the newspapers. All the photographs were from Swamiji in the chariot, Swamiji receiving all the flowers. You saw people were, showering Swamiji with flowers and garlands, getting involved in the celebrations and things like that. So literally an adventure of a lifetime for me. I had, and it's a very immersive experience. I'm sure myself and everybody got to learn that life is a celebration when it comes to Hinduism, and that was very apparent in that what it would have been like a 6-hour, 7-hour journey prepared for. So order in chaos, chaos order. Then I had a rough idea. We all were prepared, know that we are going in this direction. This is where we're headed. This is where we're going to take a dip in the Shipra River. And what an amazing blessing. Like, I found out afterwards that my grandmother always wanted to go to Kumbh Mela, but she never got to. So she was very proud that I had been to Kumbh Mela, and I only was able to go there because of Swamiji. And if it's the pull, the alive, immersive experience that was available. So as we walked on the streets and the procession continued, the music continued, and so many people from outside got involved. And I didn't realize the full impact of it actually on people until in 2021, when one of the devotees in UK, she said to me that she was there for Kumbh Mela and she didn't know about Swamiji at the time, and she saw Swamiji in the chariot. She saw Swamiji and she was thinking, who is this being? She was pulled towards Swamiji, and she didn't know who. Wanted to know more. She was automatically attracted to Swamiji without knowing much. And then later on in 2020, she got connected. She got to know more and she got connected. And so the people that were not part of the procession, in terms of who had come specifically to be with Swamiji, those people were also affected. The general public that were on the sidelines enjoying, they had come on their own accord to enjoy Kumbh Mela. They also got beautifully blessed by Swamiji. So yeah, that's what I would share. An amazing, alive adventure of a lifetime, because although we were prepared, we didn't know it was going to turn out, and everything went beautifully well. Everybody got to have a dip, and then actually the London deities we have now, the Utsava Murthys, we carried them. We carried them
yes.
through the whole procession, and they also took a dip with us, and then we brought them back. So I can't tell you, life is a celebration, and that beautiful, colorful experience forever etched in my memory, and I'm sure in the memories of many, many people that came.
That's wonderful, Martha, for your sharing. I just wanted to add that just to give a context of what happens during this Peshwai, Akada Parishad, the ecclesiastical body that holds the entire religious clan of Hinduism, has 13 Akadas. And Swamiji is the Mahamandaleshwar of Mahanirvani Akada. So on the day of Shahi Snan, each of these Akada and their respective Mahamandaleshwars, they all come in such an order and they take the first dip in the river. So about from 30 million people who take dip, first privileged ones are the Mahamandaleshwars of these Akadas. And we, all of us being part of Swamiji's Kumbh Mela camp, we are all blessed to be part of this, blessed to be part of having this privileged dip very ahead of time. And so each of these Akada Mahamandaleshwar, and the Mahamandaleshwar will have his own people, and they all come in the procession. So please imagine, all of us are coming from different backgrounds. Many of us do not know what is Kumbh Mela, and many of us have not heard about Kumbh Mela. And there's a lot of Westerners, maybe probably the first time they ever experienced. So much of diversity is there in our camp. And what Swamiji did was something so extraordinary. He, inspired the whole group, people from all the different countries. And we all did what is going to happen in Kumbh Mela the previous whole night. And Swamiji guided each and every country. Okay, now you hold the flag. When this person stands in the first, this person stands next. So we actually had a mini Shahi Snan Peshwai the day before the Peshwai happened. So all of us had carried our umbrellas and flags and everything. So Swamiji was ensuring that everybody knows what they're going to do, what they're going to experience. So the previous day, literally, we all did it in our own camp, Peshwai, small Peshwai. And so we all know what we are going to, so Swamiji literally prepared us for the big day. And when the big day happened, we know, we are confident of what we are going to do. And we are seeing there crores and crores of people literally are enamored at Swamiji's grace. Every single person was prostrating and taking blessings and selfie and autograph and whatnot, showing arati. All the Akara sadhus worshipping Swamiji, The whole scene was something beyond our expectation and visualization. And this time, what I wanted to bring it out is, on one hand, in the previous day, Swamiji is sitting with all of us and ensuring that we know what is Peshwai, and he's actually training us. Okay, and on the next day, as an avatar, he's grazing the whole humanity, like literally crores and crores of people. Throughout the way, everybody was worshipping Swamiji. You can see the two contrasts, isn't it, Martha? That's phenomenal, because we always feel, right, we cannot get into details when we look into larger goals, but that is not the case at all. Swamiji has always got into micro to micro details, trained and ensure that of what we are going to expect on the next day. And at the same time, next day, Swamiji is gracing as Paramashivam himself, and literally the whole city celebrated Swamiji's existence that day.
Yes, absolutely. This is the beauty of, Swamiji, how accessible he is, working together, and how Swamiji comes right to the level of our understanding. Like the smallest of things, like hold the flag like this, etc. Because of course for me, I can speak for myself personally, I had not been part of something like this. Graciously teaching, showing and guiding, and then the same mother, worshipped by so many people. And that's the beauty of Swamiji. He doesn't, I don't experience that gap, that meaning like, oh, there is a gap that, I can't approach Swamiji. He's very approachable. There's, with the beautiful guidance that he gives. And I learned about my own culture so quickly by being, and I don't think there's a YouTube video or any Wikipedia or anything that could have actually taught me about Kumbh Mela the way Swamiji taught, right? So it's on the go, learning about everything on the go. It wasn't like, okay, first I'm going to learn, then I'm going to go. So learning about the Shahi Snan, learning about the procession, learning about being with the Akhada, learning the structure of the Akhada, learning everything together in an immersive, experiential ambience. Such a beautiful ecosystem created by Swamiji, where I actually didn't even feel like I was learning as such, if that makes sense. It was so easy to imbibe because my system was taking it in, my whole body system was taking it in. So yeah, every time I think of Kumbh Mela, I think about the whole thing, from beginning to end, how Swamiji brought the whole thing to life. But the procession, of course, I had this thing about, I don't want to walk that far. This was in my brain. It's like, I walk that far. But being part of the procession was so easy. And even in that April heat, the heat also was quite high. So, April, May heat is quite high in India, and especially in Ujjain. In that area, it's much more, it's much more hotter. But it was made so easy, pleasurable, and alive. So it's in my ecosystem. It's like it's part of me. So it's not even something I'm going to experience and forget about. It's part of me. So it comes with me. Yes.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Mahasadashiva. And we will once again come back and would like to hear your thoughts about it. So now to viewers, I'm going to share, just like how I mentioned about Swamiji is the Mahamandaleshwar of Mahanirvana Akhada. We'll just take a look at the coronation that Swamiji had, where all the Akhada sadhus came together and coronated Swamiji as the Mahamandaleshwar of Mahanirvana Akhada. Let's
भगवान् साशिव ऋषिः विराट् छन्दः श्री गुरु परमात्मा देवता हम बीजं सशक्तिः सोऽहं कीलकम् श्री गुरु कृपा प्रसाद सिद्ध्यर्थे जपे विनियोगः अंगुष्ठाभ्यां नमः ॐ हंसीं सोमात्मने तर्जनीभ्यां नमः ॐ हंसूं निरञ्जनात्मने मध्यमाभ्यां नमः हंसैं निराभासात्मने अनामिकाभ्यां नमः ॐ हंसौं अतनुसूक्ष्मात्मने कनिष्ठिकाभ्याम् ॐ हंसः अव्यक्तात्मने करतलकरपृष्ठाभ्यां नमः। ॐ हंसां सूर्यात्मने हृदयाय नमः। ॐ हंसीं सोमात्मने शिरसे स्वाहा। ॐ हंसूं निरञ्जनात्मने खायैव षट्। ॐ हंसैं निराभासात्मने कवचाय हुम्। ॐ हंसौं मतनुसूक्ष्मात्मने न्याय षट्। ॐ हंसः अव्यक्तात्मने अस्त्राय फट्। भूर्भुवस्मिति दिग्बन्धः। ध्यानम् हंसाभ्यां परिवृत्तपत्रकमलैः दिव्यैर्जगत्कारणम् विश्वोत्कीर्णमनेकदेकनिलयम् स्वच्छन्दमानन्दकम् आत्मखण्डचित्त।
Yes. So that was the most beautiful coronation of the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, of Mahasadashiva. And after this coronation, Swamiji has immensely contributed in the revival of this kingdom. And the best part is Swamiji has revived so many aspects of the kingdom, and one of such aspects is the entire temple tradition. And in the Kumbh Mela, we had a huge temple that was set up, and so many deities, literally thousands and thousands of deities, were all brought from Adi Kailash to Kumbh Mela camp, and every single deity was so beautifully decorated, and prayers and worship, everything was offered. And we have here, for sharing the first-hand experience, Ma Muktika, who's one of the global temple leads, and who's going to come here and share with all of us her experiences of being in Kumbh Mela with Swamiji, and how Swamiji revived this entire temple tradition in Kumbh Mela.
Nithyanandam, thank you, Ma Pranapriya. And it's an honor to even be able to share a little bit about what the significance and what it meant to even be in the Punya Kshetra, in a Tirtha Sthalam, right? Like how we experienced in Kumbh Mela. I think in one line, I don't think we can ever understand what it means to experience Kumbh Mela, to experience the Snan, to experience Sanatana Hindu Dharma the way we did when we went for Kumbh Mela. And I don't think any amount of talk or explanation ever prepares you for that experience. That is how powerful and that is how revealing the whole event ended up being for us. And I'm sure for millions of centuries that I've attended any Kumbh Mela. And to be able to be part of an avatar's Kumbh Mela, the journey of being part of the camp is very, very unique. One thing that really stood out for me was the amazing aspect of how the temple was set up at the Kumbh Mela camp. It's almost out of this world and beyond human to have managed to have so many hundreds of deities, very carefully packed and readied and shipped, and not just the deities, but having the clothes, whatever it is that a deity needs for the seva, for what needs to be able to everything. So essentially, Swamiji carried an entire town to Kumbh Mela. That's how I would put it. He has set up in that one camp, you had everything you needed to be part of a spiritual ecosystem. And the temple stood as the strong structure that held the ground for everybody. And the beauty of it is that when the temple was set up there, it actually involved and had the deities that represented all the Kailasas across the world. It is not just one place, but rather he brought the entire global presence to to Kumbh Mela. It was phenomenal from the way the outside structure looked, the beauty of the pillars, the beauty of the entire structure, to every micro detail of what needs to be part of a temple was actually there in Kumbh Mela. And it is beyond words to even describe the hundreds of thousands of people who came from, in addition to the several thousand people who were part of our camp. There were people who heard about the temple. There were people who heard about what Swamiji was doing. There were people who wanted to see what this temple, what this space was all about, that came, it didn't matter whether it was day or night. And there were people lining up to actually see the deities. The alankarams, the sevas that were done by the Balasants at that time. And right from the morning onwards, when they were woken up with the traditional Suprabhatam, all the way to Palyarai, where they are put to sleep at the end of the day, every seva was done for the deities without missing. And that's such a powerful space for every person to experience and understand what it means to be part of a temple. Why do you need a temple, right? He actually gave that experience to people. Swamiji has really brought the temples to people, whether it's Temple on Wheels or whether it's the temple that was there in Kumbh Mela. Every aspect of it taught people what it meant to be part of Sanatana Hindu Dharma. And that's, the words just don't, do justice to when people came for the darshan of the deities. They came to have darshan of Swamiji. They came to, prostrate in front of him and the deities to say how pleased and how happy they were to have come and had this darshan. We've had so many people come and talk to us and ask us, how was it like to be part of the camp? They were so, awestruck by